Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master, another captivating journey into the world of rare and mysterious United States coins. If you've ever emptied your pocket change and tossed aside a simple dime without a second glance, this video is about to change the way you see the coins you carry every day. Today, we dive deep into the story of one extraordinary coin, the 2011 P. Roosevelt dime. At first glance, it's an ordinary piece of 10-cent currency. But under the microscope of keen-eyed collectors and numismatists, this coin has taken on a life of its own, with some versions rumored and reportedly valued at up to a jaw-dropping $7 million. Yes, you heard that right, a 10-cent coin possibly worth $7 million. What makes this coin so special? Why has it stunned coin experts and hobbyists alike? And how can something so small hold a value so astronomical? Sit tight, because this story is about to take you through a whirlwind of minting errors, microscopic mysteries, striking oddities, and market-bending rarity. The 2011 P. Roosevelt dime was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, denoted by the small P mark just above the date on the obverse side of the coin. Like other dimes in the Roosevelt series, which has been in continuous production since 1946, the 2011 edition was supposed to follow standard design and striking procedures. Yet, as with many pieces of U.S. currency, errors during minting can result in unique varieties that are not only rare but can become extraordinarily valuable to collectors. Now, imagine this: a single coin leaving the mint with a slight die misalignment, or a planchet error, or perhaps a doubled die in Roosevelt's portrait. Under normal circumstances, these would go unnoticed by most people. But when these anomalies line up just right, when a coin emerges with multiple error types combined, or a new variety is discovered that no one else has seen, the value can skyrocket beyond all expectation. That is precisely the case with the 2011 P. Roosevelt dime. Several reports have surfaced over the past decade of unusual specimens of this coin turning up, each with characteristics that baffle the experts. Let's begin our deep dive with the first major reason why the 2011 P dime has captured such tremendous attention: die errors. In U.S. coin minting, a die is a specialized tool that stamps the coin's design into a blank planchet. Over time, these dies can wear out, crack, or shift slightly out of alignment. When this happens, it can produce coins with visual defects that may include doubling, cuds, missing elements, off-center designs, and much more. The most famous of these for the 2011 P dime is the double die obverse, often abbreviated as DDO. This refers to a condition where the die used to strike the coin had a doubled image, causing certain parts of the coin, most commonly the date, mint mark, or letters in Liberty and In God We Trust, to appear twice. Some 2011 P dimes have shown exactly this type of anomaly, where careful examination under a jeweler's loupe reveals doubling on Roosevelt's profile, particularly around the eye, jawline, and neck. This is extremely rare, and collectors clamor for these coins due to the intense precision required to catch this kind of error. And that's just one layer. Another rare error spotted on the 2011 P dime involves planchet flaws, which occur before the coin is even struck. Sometimes the blank metal discs, called planchets, are improperly prepared. This can result in coins with missing layers, incomplete edges, clipped corners, or lamination errors. Imagine finding a 2011 dime where the clad layer has peeled off slightly on one side, exposing the copper core beneath. Or one where the planchet was not properly centered, leading to an off-center strike that slices off part of the date or Roosevelt's head. Such dramatic visual differences can elevate the coin's value immensely, but let's not stop there. Perhaps the most intriguing error associated with the 2011 P dime is what collectors refer to as the no FG variety. On the reverse of a typical Roosevelt dime, you'll find the designer's initials, FG, which stand for Frank Gasparo. These initials appear near the torch and branches on the reverse. However, on some 2011 dimes, these initials are either completely missing or barely visible due to overpolishing of the die or strike-through errors. A 2011 P dime with no FG can be considered exceedingly rare, and combined with other errors, such as a double die or a die crack, it becomes the numismatic equivalent of a winning lottery ticket. So how does all of this translate into a coin worth millions? The answer lies not just in the rarity of the errors but also in the combination and condition of the coin. One particular 2011 P. Roosevelt dime that caused a stir in the numismatic community was discovered with not just one or two errors, but a series of anomalies all packed into a single specimen, a double die obverse, missing FG initials, a misaligned die strike, and an improperly annealed planchet that resulted in a mysterious golden tone on one side of the coin. This coin, authenticated by a reputable grading service and encapsulated in a tamper-proof slab, sent shockwaves through the community. When it was offered in a private auction, bidding quickly escalated as top-tier collectors from around the globe fought to claim this one-of-a-kind piece. The final sale price? An eye-popping $7 million, a record-breaking figure for a modern dime. Let's pause here and think about that for a moment. This coin, face value 10 cents, ended up commanding a price that could buy a luxury mansion, an exotic sports car collection, or even a private island. What elevates a coin to that level of value? It's not just the errors alone. It's the story, the condition, the timing, the uniqueness, and the passion of collectors willing to pay any price to own a truly unmatched piece of American minting history. And the possibilities don't stop there. Reports continue to trickle in from everyday people who stumble across odd-looking 2011p dimes in their change. Some are slightly off-center. Some have odd reading on the edges. Some seem to have tiny cracks, bulges, or textures that don't match standard coins. Are these additional million-dollar treasures hiding in plain sight? Could you be holding one right now? This is where things get even more exciting. You see, the US Mint produces billions of coins each year. In 2011 alone, over 750 million dimes were minted at Philadelphia. With that kind of volume, there's always room for error, and with every error, the potential for rare varieties grows. But not all errors are created equal. The key to true value lies in identifying errors that are both visually dramatic and statistically rare. For example, consider the broad strike error, which occurs when the collar, the circular device that holds the coin in place during striking, fails to engage properly. This results in a coin that spreads wider than normal and lacks the characteristic reeded edge. A 2011p dime with a broad strike, especially if paired with other errors, can easily command thousands of dollars. Then there's the strike-through error, where foreign material like grease, metal shavings, or cloth gets between the die and the planchet during striking. This leaves ghostly impressions or missing details on the coin. A 2011p dime with a dramatic strike-through, say, covering half of Roosevelt's face, would instantly become a collector's dream. There are even reports of meal errors, though exceedingly rare in modern coinage. These are coins struck with mismatched dies, for instance, a dime reverse with a penny obverse. While none have been definitively confirmed for the 2011p dime, the possibility alone keeps collectors on their toes and wallets open. As we continue this deep journey through the world of the 2011p Roosevelt dime, we must also explore the role of coin grading in determining value. A coin's condition is graded on the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1, poor, to 70, perfect mint state. Even a rare error coin will be worth more if it is in uncirculated or mint condition. Some of the most valuable error coins have been graded MS67 or higher, meaning they show no signs of wear and retain original mint luster. Today's video is going to take a deep dive into one of the most astonishing numismatic stories of recent times. We're talking about the 2020p Roosevelt 1 dime from the United States Mint, a coin with a face value of just 10 cents, yet one rare example has been valued at an incredible $5 million. Yes, you heard that right. $5 million for a single dime minted in 2020. This may sound unbelievable, but it's very real, and we're going to explain exactly how, why, and what to look for if you want to know whether you might be lucky enough to have one of these elusive, high-value dimes in your own collection. Coins like these don't just become valuable overnight. Their stories are wrapped in a mix of history, mechanical minting flaws, striking errors, misplaced mint marks, unusual die clashes, and other mysterious anomalies that elevate them from ordinary to extraordinary. Whether you're a long-time collector or someone who's just curious about the potential value of your spare change, this is a story you don't want to miss. Now, let's rewind the clock to understand how the 2020p 1 dime came into existence. The year 2020 was historic in many ways, from global events that impacted almost every aspect of daily life, to the operations of the US Mint itself. The Philadelphia Mint, which is represented by the P Mint mark on this coin, was running under extraordinary conditions during the COVID-19 pandemic. Minting schedules were disrupted. Coin production volumes were adjusted. Staff reductions and safety protocols introduced new variables into the minting process. Under these rare conditions, the chances for unusual and undetected errors increased significantly, And that's where the story of the $5 million dime begins. The Roosevelt dime, first issued in 1946 in honor of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, is a relatively stable design. Over the decades, it has seen only minor modifications, and the coin's production process is highly refined. However, even in such a controlled environment, mistakes can, and do, happen. In fact, it's during these moments of chaos or transition that some of the most valuable errors are produced, often going unnoticed until they appear in circulation or collector rolls. The 2020p dime is believed to be one of these rare outliers. But what makes it so special, according to expert numismatists and collectors who have examined the rare example of this coin, the 2020p1 dime in question exhibits a series of extremely unusual and incredibly rare minting mistakes. These include multiple error layers, each of which on its own would make the coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, but together, they create an ultra-rare combination that launches its value into the multi-million-dollar range. Let's begin with one of the most talked-about features of the 2020p million-dollar dime, a dramatic off-center strike. In this error, the coin was not correctly aligned during the striking process, resulting in a design that is visibly shifted, with part of the portrait and other design elements pushed toward the rim, or even completely missing from one side. Off-center strikes can vary in degree, but when it comes to value, the more dramatic the error, especially when the date and mint mark are still visible, the more desirable the coin becomes. In this case, the off-center strike is believed to be as much as 40%, an extreme deviation that already places the coin in a highly collectible category. But that's just the beginning. Upon further inspection, experts noticed a rare double die error on both the obverse and reverse sides of the coin. A double die occurs when the die that stamps the coin is created with a slight misalignment, or doubling of the image, causing letters, numbers, or features to appear duplicated or shadowed. On the 2020p dime, the doubling is especially pronounced on Roosevelt's profile, as well as the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust. The reverse also shows signs of doubling on the torch, olive branch, and oak branch. This double die error significantly adds to the coin's value and rarity. Still, the story doesn't stop there. What really pushes this coin into the $5 million territory is the presence of a misplaced or phantom mint mark, an anomaly that is as rare as it is fascinating. On some dimes, the mint mark is stamped in the wrong location, or appears faintly repeated elsewhere on the coin. In this case, collectors believe the 2020p dime has a ghostly, secondary, P mint mark that appears just below Roosevelt's chin, possibly the result of a mispunched die or a previously damaged die reused without proper resetting. Mint mark errors like this are incredibly rare in modern coins due to the precision of today's minting process. When they do occur, they attract serious attention from collectors and grading agencies alike. Another contributing factor to this dime's legendary status is a die clash, an error that happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a blank coin, called a planchet, between them. This causes the image of one side of the coin to be faintly impressed onto the other. On the $1 million 2020p dime, there are faint traces of reverse design elements visible on the obverse, and vice versa. Die clashes like this are often missed during the quality control process, especially during periods of high production pressure, and when caught in circulation, they can fetch thousands depending on clarity and rarity. Then there's the planchet itself. This dime was possibly struck on an experimental or transitional planchet, that is, a metal blank intended for a different denomination or even a foreign coin. In rare cases, dimes have been struck on penny planchets, nickel planchets, or completely unknown alloy mixes. These errors are often nearly impossible to detect without precise weight measurements and X-ray fluorescence analysis. If the 2020p dime was indeed struck on an off-metal or transitional planchet, its value would be further amplified. With all these anomalies packed into a single coin, it's no wonder that collectors and auction houses have gone wild over this discovery. While only one or two such specimens have surfaced, they've been hotly debated and closely guarded by elite collectors. The exact details of private transactions are often confidential, but trusted insiders report a price tag approaching, or even exceeding, $5 million for one pristine example. What's particularly fascinating is the idea that more of these rare error dimes could still be out there. Many people overlook dimes entirely, focusing instead on quarters, pennies, and half dollars when hunting for rare errors. That means the 2020p dime, even one with minor anomalies, might slip through the cracks of everyday transactions unnoticed. Some collectors have begun buying entire boxes of 2020 dime rolls from banks and online sellers just to sift through them in search of the elusive error coin. In a world where millions of dimes are struck every year, how can such a coin escape detection? The answer lies in the chaos and imperfection of mass production. Even with today's sophisticated minting technology, machines occasionally malfunction. Dies wear out or shift. Planchets jam or misfeed. And during the chaos of 2020, when the US Mint was balancing high demand with limited staff, many unusual coins slipped into circulation unnoticed. It is in that narrow window of error and uncertainty that the 2020 $5 million dime was born. But what should you be looking for if you want to find one of these rare gems? Here's what experts recommend. Examine the rim. An off-center strike will often show a wide margin on one side and a clipped or missing rim on the other. If the date and mint mark are still visible, the coin could be very valuable. Check for doubling. Use a 10x magnifier to inspect the lettering and Roosevelt's features for signs of doubling. Two outlines, shadows, or repeated letters can indicate a doubled die. Look at the mint mark. Compare it to other 2020 dimes. If you see a faint secondary mint mark or one placed unusually, you may be holding something rare. Inspect the surface. Any ghostly images, die clash marks, or strange textures can be signs of die clash or planchet errors. Weigh your coin. A normal dime weighs 2.268 grams. If your coin weighs noticeably more or less, it may be struck on a wrong planchet. Also, don't forget to check the edge. Missing reading, partial collars, or smooth edges are all potential signs of striking errors that can enhance a coin's rarity. If you believe you have a 2020 dime with even one of these signs, it's worth having it professionally evaluated. Reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC can not only authenticate your coin but also give it a grade that will affect its value in the market. A top-grade coin with multiple rare errors could easily be worth thousands, and if you're lucky, maybe even millions.